Okay, consent agenda.
So actually, you know what? We'll just table that item when we get to it.
Okay,
Okay, that's fine. So you can just continue.
can we do that? We don't have to
Yep.
do it beforehand? Okay,
No.
okay. And do we have any public comment? Seeing none? Guests or presentations? None? Okay, director's report.
Okay, for library activities, I have a potential activity that I just learned about this week. So I wouldn't be putting this up to a vote, but I was hoping that I might get some advice from the board on this one. The Historical Society has received this very large donation of books, approximately 140 boxes. And the library has a lot of titles that we've recently deselected from the collection that we were going to use for a future book sale. The Historical Society wanted to know if they might be able to use the Miller Building as a site for the book sale. I talked with our architect. He says there's no structural reason that we can't use it for a short-term event like that. The structural engineer had said that it was okay, even though we still need to have the electrical system redone in the building. Personally, I don't know if it's a big enough space for the kind of event that they're talking about, but I would be willing to open it to them if the board thinks that's appropriate.
I wouldn't say why not. I mean, seems like the perfect type of thing for that, I would think. I would leave it up to your judgment.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Work with them on that. I mean, if it seems like it makes sense, then it makes sense. And if it's safe and, yeah.
How long would the books be in there for?
They were talking about doing this in a couple months.
Oh, so it wouldn't be for a couple months, and then how long would that duration be?
They were talking about doing a 2 to 3 day book sale.
Oh, well, there you
My
go.
only concern is that probably the whole AC and heating are going to need to be replaced in that area, and if we have a lot of people there in June or July, it might
Could be hot.
kind of an uncomfortable.
Well, we need to check that out. I mean, I would leave it, kind of the way I would say is I'd leave it to your discretion to determine whether we can host it.
Okay.
And if we can't because of that, or at least say, okay, if we need to make sure it's going to run and we can, is it a nominal charge to make sure it works, and da-da-da-da, those kind of things. I would leave it, again, I would leave it up to you to see if it's possible and then bring it back to us. But the general consensus, I would say, is okay if we can do it properly.
Okay.
And so the one question I would ask is if we're, as a library, would be incurring a lot of costs due to it. So that would be something.
I don't think so. I think that the Friends of the Library would probably be
Okay.
mainly involved, and that's
Okay.
a whole volunteer thing.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd just say, let's do the research, and it's gonna take too much time to figure that out. We'll use your discretion.
Your reference to the electrical work that's needed, would something need to be done before this happens?
I don't think so. I just don't think that if they wanted to plug in things, they could probably do that.
Well, like I said, I would
Yeah.
leave it up to your discretion to determine if it's plausible and possible, and then if you need something else, come back to us on that.
Okay.
Okay?
okay. So budget report?
Yeah, well, 75% of the budget year is now over. 69% of the personnel budget has been spent, and only 55% of the services and supplies, so I think we're gonna come in under budget. There were a few things, major items that aren't showing up in the current budget. Some expenses that we'll incur. A couple things Melissa signed off on tonight, $17,000 for the microfilm project, for the Dixon Tribune, $11,600 for a new air conditioning and heating unit that we had to have replaced last week, and I got an invoice from Moreno Construction for the whole year's maintenance, and that's around $26,000. So that'll have to be signed soon too.
Okay.
The 2017-18 budget we're working on, we should have a draft budget for the board next month and a final budget in June.
Perfect.
Some of the highlights of that would be that I would ask for a 0.3% COLA raise for the staff. A 10% raise for our accountant, which is one of the things that's on the agenda tonight. And there's one librarian I would like to make a 25-hour per week position with benefits. Currently, she's been working as a sub, but she had worked for the library like around 10 years ago. She had experience coming in, and she's done a super job filling in for people. And she'd replaced 3 librarians whose positions we're not going to fill, that were all part-time. So I would rather have her there 25 hours a week just working at the reference desk, because I think it gives us a lot more consistency to have somebody working that period of time rather than just having people coming in and working a few hours each time.
So when were we gonna see the proposed budget?
Draft budget should be next month and the final budget in June.
Okay,
So, and in the draft budget, are you estimating the COLA just so we can see the numbers, or
Yeah,
marking
yeah,
them
we'll
that
have
this
that.
would be a change of, okay.
Yeah, it's only 0.3% this year, and it was 0 last year, so there wasn't a COLA raise last year.
Okay.
That's pretty much it for the preview of what's coming up with the budget.
so our revenues are coming in online, yeah?
Yeah, we still should have another couple of fairly major checks coming in.
Okay,
It's funny, we had one, about a month ago, we got this check. Usually these checks we get from sales tax are around 18,000. We got this check from Solano for almost $500,000, and it turned out it was a mistake.
I was gonna say,
But at first we were just going, what's going on? Why is this such a-"
wow.
Been amazing, right?
Yeah, Benicia
That
got the
ain't-
same sort of thing.
Oh, you
so-
golly,
They called them, and they
wow.
said, no, they told us it was a big mistake.
Give it back.
That's not too good.
Dang it.
Oops. Okay,
Okay, so are there any comments on the activities or the budget reports?
Nope.
Okay.
Yep.
Any, as
You
for
want- are you
public
on
comment
tape?
on this?
There's no.
No, okay.
a comment. What do you-
Ongoing business.
So I'll move to table item 10A until our next meeting when Catlin can be here so we can discuss it together.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion passed.
We have a first and a second.
First and a second.
All
no
in
public.
favor? No
All in
public?
favor there. Oh, is there any public
There's no
comment?
public
No
comment.
public comment? All in favor?
Aye,
Aye. I will get
Table.
this one day.
no problem.
Can I point out to everyone that there's a memo from the attorney on the questions that were asked?
Yes.
Okay.
So, everybody should read through that.
Thank you for that. Thank you
Yes,
for
that would be great. Okay, Miller Building.
Okay, I have had a couple of meetings with our architect in the past month, and we talked about some things. And there was $52,000 approved for the architect to do work to establish what it would cost to renovate the Miller Building and to come up with a preliminary plan, to have plans for the building. I talked with him, and I would like to ask the board to consider amending the contract to not only tell us what it would cost to renovate Miller, but for him to give us an estimate and a plan for expanding the library from where the children's room currently is out and adding a program room in that direction.
Okay,
There are also a couple other things I would like, if we do go for that. I would like to see a separate computer lab for the kids, but it would have to be someplace where the children's librarian or staff could observe the kids. Because right now we have the 4 computers in the children's room, and that's by far the biggest source of noise in the library, are the kids working and playing at those computers. So I would kind of like to see a separate computer lab that could be maybe soundproofed with glass where we could observe the kids, but kind of keep the noise down.
So my one question that would be, if we did have that, is the content that they're pulling up on those computers, is that really regulated?
Yes, it's mainly games, mainly kids playing Minecraft or games, or.
Are they allowed to search the internet on those?
No,
Okay. Can they go onto YouTube on those?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. There's like a few specific programs that they can get into.
Okay, that would just be a concern.
What
Yeah.
would the added cost be for the architect to do those things?
He said that it wouldn't cost us anything else anymore, because with the 52,000, when that was first approved, it was before I had to do a couple of environmental surveys of the building and have another structural engineer come in. And so those 3 reports are something that the architect didn't feel like had to be duplicated. So it was something, he said it wouldn't cost us that as much to get the results that we wanted. So he said that he could do an estimate for both projects, so we could kind of compare and then kind of get an idea of which direction we might want to take.
So there's no cost at this point to doing something like what you're saying?
Yeah, no cost. Another thing with the possible expansion from the children's room, I went down to the assessor's office and got a copy of the deed.
sorry.
And the sidewalk area between the children's room and the Carnegie that divides that and the former Lefevre property, that's something that the library actually owns, so we don't have to worry about easement issues or trying to make some sort of deal with the city in case that's the option that we chose to go with.
Okay, and so can you just explain, and I know that this is silly, maybe silly of me, when the Miller Building is renovated, what part of, what are we gonna use that for? I mean, I know we had talked that there could possibly be some offices, but what, what is the majority of the building gonna be used for?
The main thing that I would like to accomplish from either renovation project is a program room where we can have the children's programs and adult programs. To me, it makes more sense if it's economically feasible to connect that to where the current children's department is. Just logistically, it would be easier to just send the kids into that room rather than have them go out the building and into another building. Or the other option is to connect the 2 buildings. I think either of those 2 options would probably be pretty expensive to do. I was thinking that maybe we might be able to just expand the current bookstore into the Miller Building rather than, I mean, if we choose not to do a program room in that area. The bookstore's been asking whether that's feasible, but I said at this point, it's not really. One of the issues with the program room, if it was to go in the Miller Building, is that the higher capacity would make it mandatory for us to retrofit it for earthquakes. And the 2 estimates I got, the one engineer said he thought he could do it for $250,000. The first guy that we talked to said it would probably be between $1 million and $1.5 million.
Wow, there's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems pretty small. I mean, going in there, it doesn't seem like you could fit a bunch of kids in there. I mean, I guess that would consider taking out some walls and expanding the area, but
Yeah.
it still seems pretty small.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
But we had talked about maybe using that as office space as well.
Right.
And using the 2nd floor for staff offices. If we do that, I think that we would have to put in an elevator, which would be pretty costly, and it would also take up a lot of the space on the 1st floor. And if we have offices on the 2nd floor, we have to have 1 ADA compliant office on the 1st floor as well. So I think between the elevator and that office, it would eat up a lot of the possible space in that area.
Well, like I said before, if it doesn't cost anything, I certainly should explore it
Yeah.
and come back with some options. It doesn't cost us anything. No reason not to.
Okay, so are there any further comments?
Yep.
So is there a motion?
I don't know that he needs one, we just need.
No,
It
just
says
direct.
it says it's action though,
It says
do
it
we?
could be
Yeah, it could be,
discussion.
Okay.
yeah, but he's
Well,
just,
just to amend the contract.
To amend the contract, we
Oh.
need to,
yeah, but you're amending the contract, there's no difference in cost, right?
No, it will just allow us to look at that as another option.
Okay. And then
Okay.
you want us to, I guess we can make a motion to, I think it still just gives you direction. I don't think we need to take action, do we?
Okay, I wasn't really sure. but that's,
I don't
I just set
think
it up
so.
in
What do you
case we
think,
wanted
John?
to take action.
I say just direction.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
All right,
I think at the point it doesn't have any fiscal impact, it
Has
doesn't
zero
make a,
fiscal
it
impact,
doesn't
that's
make a
right.
difference.
Yep.
Okay, so I see no public comment. Moving on to new business.
okay. I would like to ask the board to consider a 10% raise for our accounting/payroll technician. Nobody else, she's the only person that works at least 20 hours that hasn't gotten a raise in the past few years. And I think she's done a very good job, and a lot of the items to do with the budget are largely her input. I think she's a very valuable staff member. And so I would like to consider a 10% raise across the board for her. It wouldn't go into effect till July.
Is that when the new fiscal, does the library, is that the new fiscal year?
That's
Is
the
that
new
when it
fiscal
starts?
year,
Okay.
yeah.
So you guys would make and does that, by looking at the budget, does that fit into the budget?
It
With-
would be an additional $2,175 per year.
And again, you're stating that she's the only one that hasn't got a raise in the last couple of years?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so is there,
And is this schedule pretty comparable to other type of positions in the county and around the area?
I think it's still a little less than
Okay.
people are making for similar positions, but, we have a couple people on staff that are library assistant twos that were promoted last year that have been there for lengthy periods of time, one for, I think, 16 years and the other one for almost 10.
Okay.
And I would be reluctant to give this person a raise that was higher than what they're
I
making.
understand. Okay.
so she'd be starting out at step one of this pay?
She's at step 4, so she'd go from 2026 to 2229.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so is there a
Probably
motion?
need a motion. I'll motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay.
Okay, approval of the minutes of March 9th, 2017.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and I as well. Okay, so is there anything that you guys would like to see on the agenda for?
No, we need to
Besides
continue
the-
we need to keep that governance one back on there
Yeah.
as well.
Okay,
Back on there.
anything else?
That's it.
Okay, so this meeting's adjourned.